Hello and welcome to this session, tremendous Tableau tip with these ladies, Heidi, Annabelle and me, Tore. Hello also to everybody back home, streaming this live or seeing this in the future. Starting with a short introduction, my name is Tore Levinsen. I'm from Norway, the only Norwegian at this conference, I think. Also the only Norwegian at the last conference. Yeah, we have this one, but sorry about this. I don't care too much about this. This is me. So I'm a Tableau Jedi from Inmeta Consulting. I am a Tableau ambassador, and also I run the Norwegian Tableau user group. I have a wife, I have 2 kids. Hey Lina, gratulerer med bursdagen I går. And I have a cat named Sissel.
Hi everyone, my name is Heidi Kalbe. I'm an associate solution expert at Woodmark Consulting. We are one of the premier partners in Germany. So if you have any business in Germany, feel free to come talk to me. Also, feel free to talk to me under any other circumstances. I am a Tableau ambassador in my 4th year, Tableau user group ambassador now, as I am a co-lead for Data Plus Women Germany and Rhineland Tableau user group also in Germany. So feel free to connect.
A nice welcome also from my side. My name is Annabelle Rincon. I have the chance to be a Tableau Visionary and Tableau Ambassador. And I am leading 2 initiatives, Data Plus Women Zurich. If you want to be amazed and inspired by women working in data, please feel free to register. Our events are virtual and free. And I'm also co-leading the Analytic Tableau user group. In case you want to learn how to do analytics in Tableau, this talk is for you. And please feel free to connect with me in LinkedIn. It will be my pleasure. So let's start, because I have exactly 12 minutes and I will probably mess up. So the first tip I have for you, it's not a Tableau tip, it's more like a learning tip. Surround yourself with people that make you grow. What I mean by that, attend Tableau user group, participate to community events like Workout Wednesday, for instance, ask for feedback, connect with people, because we never learn better than when we learn together. And that's why, by the way, I'm doing this session with these 2 amazing guys, because I will mess up with their computer today, for sure. The tip that I will be presenting to you, some of them are coming from the Data Farm, from Klaus Schulz and Rosario Gona, that are 2 amazing visionaries. If you don't follow them, you should probably. And how I learn about that by attending a Tableau user group or reading blogs. So, what I didn't tell you about me is that I am living in Switzerland. And in Switzerland, we love our chocolate. Great. Well done. And so let's imagine I'm working for a chocolate factory. And I'm very happy. I have done this visualization. I show it to my boss. I have the sales and profit for different chocolate type and beans origin. So I'm happy. And she tells me, yeah, but I don't like you have the total at the bottom, right? And I tell her, yeah, sure, I can put it on the top quite quickly. But she tells me, I would like that it's written like total dark chocolate here and total milk chocolate here. I can try, write dark chocolate, but as soon as I do that, it's change every subtotal. So how I do that? For this tip, I will be using a calculated field. That's called number of beans. It's nothing else than the count distance of the beans origin. I just show you so you trust me. So you see here it's like 1 for each row, 6 for dark chocolate because there are 6 beans origin difference, and the grand total. And I will be creating a fake column. I put it here, and I will use this column to display the label. Create calculated field. Let's call it new label. Well, let's see if I don't mess up. Yes. Yeah, it's not my computer, so I'm happy to. So if number of bean equal, no, equal 1, that means that I am on every row level. And I can, in that case, I want that it display beans origin. Let's make it bigger, otherwise you will not see what I'm writing. else if my number of bins equal the total of number of bins, meaning the 14, but maybe tomorrow I have more bins origin, so I want that my calculation always works. So then in that case, let's write grand total chocolate. And else, what we want is like this subtotal. So else, like written total, space, and a little plus sign with chocolate type, and put an end. And here Tableau says, Annabelle, you mess up, because number of bins is a count distinct, it's an aggregated field, and the other one, it's not. So here it's not a big issue. I will just add like a minimum on the string. So Tableau will be happy, and he will have his aggregation. Exactly, and now it's okay. So I can just like drag and drop this new label into my label. And now I have exactly what I want. And now it's just a question of a little bit of formatting that we will be very quick. We will change like the type by a Gantt chart. We will put the label in the left. We will remove the show header and remove also the bin number because we are not interested. And now dual axis, synchronize the axis, very important. And Tableau messed up again, but that's fine. I can just like remove the measure name, and I have whatever I want. So now for my boss, like to be happy, I will remove the show header and I will write sales here on the bottom. Quite cool, no? So because I have a very demanding boss, she will come back and tell me, yeah, Annabelle, what I want now is that you create a visualization that allows me to understand the number of how many percentage of my spending are generated by how many percentage of my vendors. And that is a Pareto. So let's try to do the Pareto first, and don't worry, my boss will have like other requests. So on the vendor ID, on the Pareto, you have first to sort, right? So it's quite easy. You sort by field, descending order. And then, it's not my computer, I'm messing up. Name the vendor ID. What I want is not to have each vendor ID, I need like a measure. So I will right click, count distinct of the measure, and I will add a table calculation. Because the Pareto, what I really need is a running total. Based on the vendor ID, I had a second calculation and have a percentage of total. Yes, it's big enough. Okay, and I will do exactly the same here. Add table calculation. Running total. I was trying to see if you follow, but vendor ID, add secondary calculation, and percentage of total. So that's good. I just have now to remove the bar for line. And now I present that to my boss. And she can know that 30% of the vendor represent 91% of our spending. And she said, yeah, but it's not what I want. I want that I just write here. Let's do the zoom. That I write 80% and that you create the intersection line. Sure. So I already create the parameter for that. So in that case, with the parameter, I can just right-click, add reference line, select my parameter. I could have chosen like a better name, I think, but anyway, add the value, and I can obviously like change a little bit of the formatting, have a nice color, for instance. Let's put like a format so you see very well and add some shading. We have 80%. But the problem now is to create these lines, and it's automatic, right? So let's create a calculation. To earn some time, I already copy-paste that. That is nothing else than what we have in column. I will explain that to you. Intersection. Okay. Yes. So the first one is the one that we have in the row. So the running sum of the spending divided by total to make the percentage of total. And what I want to write here for the intersection, if this big formula is below my parameter, then I will start doing the running sum of the count of the vendor divided by the total. Else, null, because I'm not interested in what happened after the intersection. And then I can just drag and drop this intersection into detail. Don't forget to compute using vendor ID. Right-click, add the reference line, select it from the intersection, add the value, and we are gone. And now my boss, I can even like a parameter, but action, but if she write down 75% now, yes, sorry, 0 point, yes, I think that I didn't put like the correct. Okay, trust me. Yes, sorry, I was with a comma instead of 0. Do you like it? Yes. Yeah? Okay, right on time. For the last tip, it's coming from Rosario Gona. So thank you, Rosario, if you follow us. So my boss came to me and said, Annabelle, I want that you select, I want to be able to select a parameter like this and have like, if I select the number of customer, the graph is automatically updated. If I select the number of order, etc., etc. So, yes. So I create like a visualization very quickly with the dark chocolate, mild chocolate, beans origin, like always, and I have a metric selected here. The metric selected, I will show you very quickly. It's simply like whatever I select on the parameter. If I select customer, it will be the count distinct of the customer name. If the select order, count distinct of the order. If I select the last one, I want like the number of order by customer. So that's fine. And that's display. The only problem here, what happened, and I will show it to you immediately, the label. So for customer and order, it's okay. But for order by customer, I have a lot of digits. And my boss doesn't like that. She wants like a different format depending on her selection. And how we do that? We cannot. But Rosario come with a tip, because in Tableau, what we have is like we can change the format if it's a value is negative or if the value is positive. So let's do that. Here I have a display metric, and I just said that if the metric section is ordered by customer, it's a bad guy that's causing issue, we will multiply the metric selected by -1. If I just drag and drop now metric selected into label, you see I have a negative value. And now I just have to copy paste this format, right click, format, numbers, custom, copy paste, and that's it. Because what we have done here is like the first, when it's positive, let's try to do that. Can I? No, sorry, I just want like to show it to you. Exactly, when it's positive, it's this format, that is a full integer, and when it's negative, is 1 digit after the 0. And that concludes my session. I hope that you like it. And I'm right on time, and Chloe, stage is yours.
Yeah, so that was tips from a visionary. Now it's down to low level, simple tips from an ordinary ambassador from Norway. I do tiny Tableau tips on X every Wednesday, so I'm going to do some of those. And I'm going to start with this one, where I'm just going to start up Grammarly. You know Grammarly? Yeah? And we don't know yet, but tomorrow there's going to be devs on stage. Will there be spell check in Tableau? We don't know. I asked Mr. Miller last night, he didn't want to divulge anything. So if they don't going to share this tomorrow at Devs on Stage, if you install Grammarly, which is free, you can use the free version, you see that I have some spelling mistakes in here. And you see that the G is spotting my mistakes. And I can click accept, but Grammarly can't change anything in Tableau. unless you open up the dialog box. You can't change the title unless you edit it. So when I go in here, I have 3 suggestions. Or maybe I'm going to click, yeah, what do you want to do? I don't know what I want to do. I want to fix my mistakes, please. Just the same as Annabelle. When it doesn't work, it actually works. So this one apparently works. Watch our session tomorrow at 9, then I'm going to fix it. But this works on any dialog box that you can open, a caption, a calculated field, or anything. So until Tableau fixes spell check, you can use Grammarly instead. And trust me, it actually works.
I have seen it.
Yeah, I've seen it as well. If you have a dashboard with multiple different visualizations like this one, just a simple bar chart, and you would like to save some space, so this could be one of many different sheets inside of a workbook. See that if I click on any of these, it zooms in inside of the same container to save space. If I select multiple, it also shows multiple inside of the same space. So I'm using a container to contain my data. But also if you pay attention to my axis, it goes to 300,000 K. So it doesn't matter if I click on chairs or if I click on art, it still keeps the same axis. So how is this done? If I go over to my workbook, well, not the workbook, but the worksheet, you see this nice little bar chart. And I've created a calculated field that is called fixed max sales. I'm going to edit this one. And I'm going to zoom in. So for each and every subcategory, I'm going to find the sum of sales, basically the same as you see on the label. And then I'm going to find the max of this. So whenever the data is changing, there's new data coming in, this will always be the highest value. And the trick is that you can't see unless I hover over this hidden reference line, where I then put this calculated field so it sticks into the view. So whatever you zoom into, it will show you this fixed max sales. And it's dynamic. Next one, I work as a consultant, and every time I do something, I need to document it, or at least that's the plan, you know, when the end of the project, and you have 10% time for documentation, and suddenly there's a new project. So I'm going to give you some documentation tips, so maybe you can save some time as well. Tableau has this nice little data guide on the right-hand side, shows you a lot of good stuff, where you can look at data in the viz, data summary, some outliers, but there's no copy-paste in here. You can't export this anywhere. So, at least that I don't know about yet. Maybe we can learn about that on Devs on Stage tomorrow. But if you press Ctrl+E, you will get this sheet description. Fairly similar, but it also contains way more data and way more information in here. So you see that you have your dimensions, your measures, and your data source details. Copy this, paste it into your favorite documentation tool. Also, you can do this with any other dimension or measure. If you right-click and click Describe, you will get an overview. You can get some of the data, and you can copy-paste this as well. If we do this with calculated fields, you see that in my view, I have profit ratio. So let's have a look at that one. I think that's a classic calculation, sum of profit divided by sum of sales. Also see that Grammarly, just trust me, but it finds a spelling mistake in there. Then again, documented. I don't know. Maybe that's how it's written in Norwegian. You don't know. Grammarly doesn't know, at least. So, of course, you always put these forward slashes. You do the forward and X so that you can put in documentation into the view. You know about this trick as well, right? You had something that you tested, it didn't work properly, but you would like to see how does it work. So you can drag and drop from your calculation editor. You will then in the background get this calculation, so you can just test it. So you basically have created an ad hoc calculation. Problem is that, like your boss doesn't like a lot of stuff, and they are too demanding. So they don't like some fixed segment, average sales, and all that stuff over there. So one quick tip is to just double click on your green pill, go all the way in the front, 2 forward slashes, let's call this TC24, and then have a line break, press enter, see that it's renamed to TC24. It's still an ad hoc calculation, but the axis looks way better. If you want to use this in your data source, just drag it over here, save it off, and it's part of your data source, and you can use it again. Thank you. As I said, you can always right-click on these calculated windows as well and describe and copy-paste. But when you have multiple of these, it takes a bit of time. So I'm going to show you a quick tip how to fix that. But before I'm going to do that, if you pay attention to this better profit ratio, where I actually multiplied with 1.05, so the boss is happy, I can't remember now how was my profit ratio calculation. I can always go over here, right-click, and edit, but then this window will be closed. If you always keep this window on the right-hand side, there's this tiny, tiny little triangle over here. Every time you find a triangle or something in Tableau, there will be a menu. Over here we have all the functions, and also if you click on your profit ratio or your homemade calculation, you will see the documentation, the calculation and everything. You can click on describe, and then you can copy paste it and reuse it as well. But since I have multiple calculations in my view, a shout out goes to Marcelo Haas, who has created the Tableau Data Dictionary. There's multiple versions or people who've done similar things, but basically if you go to his webpage and you upload, check with your boss or your compliance department before you do it, upload your TWB or TWBX file, which I've done, where it's reading my entire workbook. It gives me a data dictionary that is downloaded, and since I don't trust the Wi-Fi in here, I have done this before. And then I ended up with this CSV file. Here you can see that I have two different data sources. I have my columns, I have the data type, my formulas if I have a calculated field, and it also includes all my parameters. It saves you a bunch of time if you just use this one. Thank you, Marcelo. Still have some time left and also some tips. Just randomly, I had this web page that I found. I'm from Norway. We love to do skiing. So I'm just going to now copy this table, if I manage to do that safely. Control-C, that's a shortcut everyone knows, I guess. I go back to Tableau and do Control-V. It automatically populates my worksheet and also gives me a data source on the left-hand side, just a clipboard. So it's part of my workbook. I'm just going to get rid of the data and put in the nations in here, total number of medals, and maybe just sorted. I don't know why, but oh, would you look at that? Norway's on top. This in tooltip, that's probably something many of you have done before, so it's not revolutionary, but I'm going to do some quick tips there to format it and make it a bit nicer. So I have this by category, I have this by subcategory in a new sheet. I have this top 10 by profit and sales per state. And I also have one which just contains a tiny little line, which I'm going to use for formatting. So if I go back to this in tooltip, or this view, I can go to my tooltip, and you've probably done this before. Go to insert, you go to sheets, and I'm going to put in this number 2, just a line shift there. I'm going to put in the other ones as well, 3 and 4. Nothing exciting yet. I hover over, and it's quite long, right? So I would like to make this one wider. I'm going to move this one up next to this one, and then I'm going to put in this divider multiple times in my tooltip. So the tip is if you want to make these two that we see here on the same line, just get rid of the line break. And then I'm going to put in my divider line, this sheet, which is called number 5. Of course, this one shouldn't be as high as the other one, so I'm going to make everything just wider, 800 wide and 10 pixels high, like this. And then the top one, since that should be wider than the other ones, I'm going to make this one also 800, and then the other ones are all okay. So now it looks a bit nicer, but I'm still missing. I also would like to have the line between the big bar chart and the other ones. So if you go then back to tooltip, and I'm going to put it in here, go to insert, worksheets, and it's already grayed out. Should I then go and copy paste and have multiple lines in the view? Because Tableau is so stupid that it doesn't know that I would like to have it in there. But I'm way more clever than Tableau because I just copy, if I manage to copy it like this. Oh, maybe I'm not so clever. Maybe I'm not so clever after all. So I just copy paste this line 3 times inside of the same tooltip. And there you go. You have a nice little tooltip with some lines and formatting as well. And I love shortcuts. I love to save time. I use the keyboard all the time, as you just saw. It's very easy, especially when you don't get it to work. So the classical one, you just left drag and you right click and then you change whatever date that you want. Many of you have probably done this before. If you right drag instead of left drag, you get this drop field. So you get all the different options of which dates you want to show. So you want to show month, you can do that with a measure. Drag this one into text, right drag it in, and then you can select the aggregation. And now there's a lot of hashtags in there. So hashtag tiny Tableau tip, that's cool, but it doesn't show us anything on the screen. So another shortcut is holding in the control key and using the arrows to just increase the size of your table, or use Control Shift B or Control B to increase and decrease the size of the cells. Last tip in here, if you would like to swap rows and columns, yes, I know there is a shortcut up here, but your hands are still on the keyboard, Control W, and it goes back and forth. And then suddenly, if you would like to do some extra analysis based on this, you go all the way to the right-hand side and you click on this, and then you need to drag this sheet 18 all the way to the left. And if you're like me, you have multiple sheets and dashboard, and you drag and you drag, and it takes forever, and you get really annoyed. Or I never get annoyed, of course. So there's a couple of tips. I'm not sure if you have seen these icons all the way hidden on the right-hand side. We can switch from the default one to the film strip. So that's a nice little view. But even better, the sheet sorter, you have everything that you have in your workbook, and then you can just drag and rearrange as you go along, like this. And then you can double-click, and then you're back to this page. Or you can just use Control-M. It creates a new sheet next to wherever you are. Final shortcuts, because now I see Heidi is looking at me and she's really eager to come over and share some. So this is some shortcuts on the dashboard where if you press F7 or F7, then you go to presentation mode. This is how it would look like when you push it onto cloud. If you press the G button, I'm not sure if you can see it on the screen, but there's a grid in the background. So if you want to make those pixel perfect dashboards, you need to have a grid in the background. It's just for you when you develop. It's not in the published version. And then finally, if you use the arrows, control arrows, just saying it again many times, select this maybe. So the arrows, you move this 1 pixel, shift arrow, you move it 10 pixels around. And you have your perfect, pixel perfect dashboard. I did have one more, I'm going to do that tomorrow.
Yes.
So this is Heidi's. There you go. Thank you.
Okay, hi. So this is the tip Tore was actually supposed to steal from me, so I'll have to show it to you instead. What I want to do here is I have 3 measures and I want to color them each individually by its own measure. Problem is if I try coloring this by, for example, by sales, God, your mouse is slow. It just gets colored by sales. That's not what I want. Instead, I want to use measure values. So I can use these, press Control, drag them to color. And then everything still gets the same color legend, but hey, at least by the individual values, right? So what you have to do is right click and use separate legends, and then we get 1 color legend per measure that we have in here. Now, the fun thing is if you have clients like I do and they prefer to have tables, while doing the transition to Tableau, we can also kind of do custom formatting using this color legends. So if I again drag, where do I have it, measure values to color, Tableau will color the numbers, and again we can right click and use separate legends. So what I want to do is I only want to color profit ratio, blue if it's positive, red if it's negative, I don't know. And the rest should not be colored. Well, we can't not color in Tableau, but we can make it look like we are not coloring. So we just double click on this legend, make sure that it's a divergent color legend, and then one side is black, and the other side also just happens to be black. And if you now make that a stepped color legend, look at that. It's all now the same color. So we can do a similar thing for the profit ratio. Of course, make that a stepped color, just with 2 steps. Make sure if you want it to be positive and negative numbers to just click the center at 0, in case you ever have only positive or only negative numbers. And now we kind of have a custom formatting for our table. The fun thing is you can also do that for the background. So if you want to color not the numbers, but the cell itself, you just switch from automatic to square and it'll color the background. Now, of course, for sales, you would want to choose white. So let me show that to you for the weighted discount. Again, double click, make sure that it's a diverging color legend and just make it white on one side, make it white on the other side, and make sure to make this a stepped color legend with 2 steps. And then you have your custom formatting in tables. While we're talking about tables, I sometimes have to convince my clients to really, brave the step into visual analytics and not just more colorful tables. But we still want to give them something to hold on to. So when I label things, maybe I would like to label on the left, so in front of the bars. The thing is, the only thing Tableau allows me to do, if I say left aligned, it'll label at the beginning of the bars, but I actually want it next to the bars, like before the bar starts. So it still kind of looks like a table with bars added next to it. So what can we do? We actually steal off a little tip that Annabelle showed us earlier. We change this to a Gantt bar. So you can already see it's taking a little bit of shape, but now my size of the Gantt bars, of course, should also be sales. Now, the thing is, they're in the wrong position. So I can either make the size negative, or I can just double click on the columns and make sure that it actually starts at 0. And of course, set the label to sales again. And now it looks kind of like a table with a bar chart next to it. Okay. And why did you not mute your Teams? Okay. All right, so, in the data viz community, there's some controversy around, are you allowed to truncate axes or not? General rule of thumb, never truncate axes with bar charts. But this is not a bar chart, it's a line chart. So are we allowed to or not? Well, it's not a decision I want to make. I want to allow my users to take that decision. So, of course, what do? We create a parameter. Big fan of parameters. We call this one zoom axis, question mark. I love adding question marks because it makes sure that people understand, hey, this is where I can take an action. Make it Boolean, give it an alias. We call this one, yes, zoom in, or no, show in full. Okay, so that's the options they have. So let me just make sure to right click and show the parameter. And then we can create a calculated field. So I will call this my 0 line, and I can zoom, yep. So if they do want to zoom axis, then I don't want any value, else I want 0. And this will make sense in a second, just give me some time. So what we can do now is we can drag the 0 line to detail, right click on our axis and add a reference line using 0 line. So you can see I've made this bright orange, and as you can see, you can't see anything because it's not there, right? The value currently is null, so no 0 line. But if I say no, show in full, there's my 0 line right at the value 0. So all I have to do now is double click on the axis and make sure to not include 0 if I don't want to. The thing is, it's still showing the whole axis because I have my 0 line in there. But if I say nope, I want to zoom in, then the 0 line vanishes and we're now zoomed in. So everything I need to do now is, again, show in full, right click, edit my reference line, make sure that it's invisible. So pretty similar to what Tore did earlier. And now I can happily zoom in or show my axis in full, depending on what the client wants. Thank you. Okay, this last one is for when you have a lot of analyses that you definitely want to show, but very little space to show them. So we're definitely not going to show 6 charts in this limited space. I'm not doing charts, I'm just giving you the numbers because it makes it easier to explain for you. Just imagine they're all different charts. So I have enough space to show 2 at a time. So what I want to do, I want to be able to paginate through my dashboard and always show 2 at a time. So 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 3 and 4, etc. So I need a couple steps for that. I have all my charts, then I have a parameter. This is just a text field showing the parameter. I have a button for lower and I have a button for upper. So let me show you the higher button, and it'll all be in reverse for the lower button as well. So I need a couple things. First off, I need a parameter. This one is just called pagination between values 1 and 5. If you have more charts that you want to show, just do it 1 to 27 or whatever. It all scales up or down, whatever you need. Then I also will be using parameter actions later on. So I have this fancy calculation that says, hey, if you are already at the highest value, just take that value. If you are at a lower value, so if the parameter is at a lower value, just take that value plus 1. We'll do that to dial up. And then, of course, we have the same thing for the lower button. So again, it's all the same in reverse. What we also need is a couple of, is it the top? So is this already the highest value? Just to change the shape for the top button and also for the lower button. So again, it's the same in reverse. And then, of course, we need to understand, do we want to show this element? So we'll be using dynamic zone visibility. So element 1 should only be shown if the pagination parameter is at 1. Element 2 should only be shown. Oh, okay, I'm speeding up. So the second one should only be shown at 1 and 2, etc. So you get the gist. Again, repeat to infinity. So what we're doing now is we are going to add some actions. So dashboard action, thank you, Tore. And we are going to add a parameter action. So if I click on this higher button, then I want to affect my pagination parameter using the field pagination plus, because that's the one we want to use to go up. We can just keep the current value. We're okay. Press OK. And now if I press this higher button, you can see that the parameter changes. The thing is, if I want to click it again, it's currently selected. So I first have to click it and then click it again. And honestly, none of my clients have the patience for doing 2 clicks when 1 should suffice, right? We're all the same, right? So what I want to do instead is I need to add another dashboard action. So go to dashboard actions. And this one is a little bit of magic that I myself don't understand, but it's well documented. So just read up on it. We are actually adding a filter action. So we are using the field higher. And if I select that, I want to also affect the sheet higher, but not in the dashboard. I definitely use exactly that sheet. So go to the sheet selector and just affect that sheet. And we want to show all values. Now, we don't filter all fields. We filter selected fields, going from true, which is a Boolean calculation, just contains true. Like there's nothing else. It's just true for everywhere in the data. And our target field will be false. So again, a Boolean field that only contains the value false. So there will never be an overlap of values in these. And I don't know why it works. Again, it's magic, but it does. I just remember the steps. So what happens now is if I click that button, it deselects itself, but the parameter action is still triggered. Very useful in a lot of cases, especially one such as this. So all I need to do now is to make sure to affect the visibility. So I take this number 6. You could also do that. So this is currently a text object. You could also do that with a container if you have legends, filters, etc. Use control visibility using value and then select the correct step. So step number 6 for this one, and you can see it already vanishes. And then this one will be step number 5, etc. Again, depending on how many fields you have. And I've actually already finished that because I don't want to show you all of this. So now I can paginate upwards, and you can see that we dial up. Or I can paginate downwards, and you see that it always shows me 2 elements at a time, or however many you want. I think that's it, right? Yeah, thank you. Okay, 1 minute to go. I'm a big fan of this one. So I have not enough space in here. Oh, never mind. Okay, so this is a very slow dashboard because it has a lot of data. So what I like to do is I like to start on an empty dashboard so the initial load time is slower. But of course, if I do that and I don't give any hint, the users will become a bit worried and they will call me up and say, Heidi, the dashboard broke. What did you do? Tableau is a shit tool. So I don't want that. So I give them a hint, obviously. And I used a show hide button to allow them to hide the hint. Problem is, the show button is still there. I want this button to vanish because they only need to see the hint once, right? Just once. So what I can do is I drag this button into the object that it's hiding. And if I press this button now, it hides itself and it'll never come back. Just remember to not save now. First undo and then save, because otherwise you also will never get this back. Okay, so that's my round of tips. If you liked all of these, please fill in the survey and tell them so. Tell them to bring us back next year and we'll have more tips for you then. First 1,000 people get a bunch of coffee. The other just get our undying love. So feel free to decide which of those is more important to you. Check out the session summary if you like. And thank you so much. Thank you to the viewers at home, and enjoy the rest of the conference.